Hey everybody, and welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. Today we're going to be doing another discussion video, but it's a little bit more fun than some of the other boring topics we go over. But if there are any videos that you want to see, any topics you would like me to go over, expound on more than just replying to a comment, leave that down in the comment section below, because these kind of videos where I talk and explain and give my reasons and ideas, you guys seem to like a lot. So I appreciate a lot of the video ideas. This one has been asked a few times, and I've done some other videos like it, but we are going to get into some parts to purchase when doing some forced inductions. A little bit more of the getting to purchase products and what to buy, what to do before you go forced induction. But before we get into that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Like if you enjoy this type of content. Also make sure to comment all of your questions, comments, anything like that in the comment section below. Also make sure to be following us on Instagram, Tenza_motorsports, where we do giveaways. We're gonna be doing one here soon where we're doing a steering wheel. Pretty excited about that. I'm actually gonna be finishing the steering wheels on camera, so you guys get to see everything that happens while modifying it and getting it ready to give away to one of my lucky followers, Kay. So, supercharging, turbocharging, any kind of forced induction you're going to be doing on your BMW. I've got a list of some things that are generic to any type of forced induction you'll be doing. Most of it has to do with cooling, engine cooling, things like that, but there are a few other things that we've done to the cars, and I'm sure I'm not going to hit every point. Like, this list can't be, 40 items long. We'd be sitting here forever. And I didn't want to do the typical, 5 things to before, I think my list is like 7 or 8 items, but I think they're very important to talk about. So the first thing that you should be doing is getting a catch can. Whether you do a recirculating or a vented one, I prefer vented. Our tuner for the channel, Rev Match, which is another thing that you should be doing if you do forced induction, is getting a tune from them. They pretty much a vented catch can. That way we don't have to worry about anything else. You're pulling the vapors out and then you're done. You just make sure that you drain it every now and then, and that's it. Those can be purchased for around $100 or so, a little bit less depending on which ones you're wanting to do. And I will have the link to everything that we talk about in the description. So if you're curious and wanting to start getting your car ready for these items, then you can find them all down there. The other thing I want to mention before we go on to the next thing, none of these items would stop you from going, like if you're like, oh, I want to do a forced induction, and then later on find out you wanted to stay NA or whatever it is. All of these items you can put onto an NA car and will give you options. None of these are going to channel you like, oh, if I do this, you have to go down the road of supercharging. So for example, I'm not going to tell you to get a set of headers, because if you do a turbo kit, then you're going to just pull your exhaust manifold back out anyway. So I'm not going to tell you to do anything like that. This will be generic for any forced induction. And actually, like I said, if you want to stay naturally aspirated, this list is compatible with all that as well. Let's get on to some of the coolant stuff. We're just going to knock these all off all at the same time. So let's start at the very, very, very front. You're going to want to get a different radiator. So this would be bigger, thicker, more capacity, no composite end caps. CSF makes a radiator. Mishimoto, which is what I have on the race car. This one is still stock right now, but it really, honestly, the only reason we haven't changed it out yet is because it hasn't sprung a leak. We do have money set aside to do that when that happens, because the composite end caps can go out anytime. So upgrade your radiator. The next thing you're going to want to do, moving further back, you'll want to get your thermostat. So they do a metal thermostat housing. I do not have that, but if they were making one when I did mine, I would have done it. I don't remember seeing one when I did mine. So you want to do a metal thermostat housing, same thing. Get rid of the composite as best you can. They break, they crack, they leak. Not good. The next thing is the water pump. So get a high flow water pump. I believe I'm running a Stewart water pump in the race car. Most of the coolant components on this are stock because nothing's broken yet. So yeah, the expansion tank, you want to get at least get a new expansion tank. If not, there are metal ones. You can also go to an M3 expansion tank. So that would be putting it up further back in your engine bay and getting it off of the radiator. There's ways to do that. I thought about doing that, and I just haven't done anything because mine's not like leaking or having any issues. All right, and then the last thing for engine cooling is an engine fan. The OEM engine fan, like we've talked about on this channel before, is plenty strong. And it's not a small fan, and it really doesn't weigh that much more than some of these lightweight aftermarket ones. But you're gonna want to be able to turn it on and off when you want to turn it on and off. And so whether you take the OEM one and you add a toggle switch to it so that you can override the system, or you completely disassemble the original system and then just run it straight to your toggle, or go, tear all that out and put in your own fan, you're going to need to be able to have some control over your engine fan. That's something that has saved my butt a few times, being able to run it myself. The other thing is then I know that it's running. Sometimes the OEM system kind of makes some weird decisions, and if you're boosting your car, you don't want to have to worry about that, and it's really not that difficult to do. You can replace the coolant hoses with silicone if you want to. I've never had one blow on me before, so I'm happy with staying OEM as long as they're in good condition, not leaking. I don't see any issues with running your OEM hoses. The next thing we're talking about is a little bit lower on the priority list, but you really do want to get a bumper that's got a little bit more airflow. So whether you're running ZHP, M3, or another aftermarket fiberglass, whatever bumper, you're going to want a little bit more airflow than the standard 325, 328, 330. The little air intakes that it's got on it is not really enough airflow. Getting air into your engine bay and making sure you have plenty of airflow for your intercooler and your oil coolers, things like that, it's really important. So that's one of the reasons why I went with an M3 front bumper on my race car. The other reason, a little bit of a tangent here, but the other reason why I went with an M3 bumper is because then I can purchase canards that fit, splitters, and there's a whole bunch of accessories, performance upgrades for the M3 bumper versus if you just went and got like a aftermarket fiberglass one that had a bigger mouth on it. You're going to have to custom make your canards. So in a roundabout way of saying, get a bumper that gives you a little bit more airflow so that you can run your intercooler and get plenty of air moving through it. So most of the items on this list you're going to want to make sure that you do before you're running into boost, or while you're installing your kits. This one here isn't as important, but you're going to be forced to do it no matter what. So you're going to want to get a more stout clutch. So most of the OEM clutches can handle, 300 wheel, 350 wheel, kind of that range, and then they start to slip. And when you're boosting these E46s, you can hit that 300 wheel horsepower mark fairly quick. The clutch that's in this car is just this much more of an upgrade than OEM, and we're running it until it goes out. And kind of the same thing with you guys. You don't have to do a clutch the same day that you get a turbo kit, but just know that it's coming, and you're going to want to put some money aside. I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea to run your OEM clutch for a little bit and just kind of break in the kit and play around, and then when your clutch goes out, it goes out. You're going to have to pull the transmission out anyways. So yeah, that's not one that you have to do before you boost, but you're going to be forced to at some point. So a clutch is definitely something that you're going to want to do. The next thing, and another item pertaining to the driveline, is the flex discs. So those get torn up even under stock power, between people doing burnouts and just normal wear and tear. The standard horsepower will tear those flex discs up. So you're going to want to replace those. I just put OEM ones back on my race car. They have upgraded ones, polyurethane and solid and all that kind of stuff. I put a normal one back on it. So as soon as mine goes out, same thing with this car. As soon as they go out, we'll be putting an upgraded one in there. You don't have to put an upgraded one in there, but you're probably going to be forced to, just like the clutch. At some point, you're going to need to replace those. That's something I wouldn't wait on. If your clutch goes out, you might have to get a tow home. Your flex disc goes out, you could rip your drive shaft off and it's going to fly up and hit the bottom. It could actually cause some damage. So you're going to want to get that replaced. Last thing I want to talk about is engine mounts. You're going to want to do engine mounts as well. So same thing with the flex disc. They get worn out, they get soft, they start to crack, they start to break. It's not a big deal. You can buy really nice performance ones, solid engine mounts like this car has. I think $200 for engine and transmission mounts, so it's really not anything super crazy. My race car is running upgraded ones, but they're not solid. And the reason for that is I was talked out of the solid ones because somebody's like, oh, that's gonna drive really crappy, and are you sure you wanna do that? And it kind of freaked me out, and I didn't do it, and I probably should have, because I spent almost as much as these cost, a little bit less, getting some upgraded ones. Some of this has to do with how much horsepower you're gonna be running, but realistically, when you have a part that goes out, you really should put upgraded parts on your car, especially if you're doing forced induction. If you're just street driving the car, you don't have to do an upgraded flex disc. You don't have to do upgraded engine mounts. You don't have to do upgraded cooling system items. But there's no reason to spend 75, 90% of the cost, do all the work, and then find out later, oh man, you know what? I should have spent an extra $40 and just got the parts I wanted originally. And that I do that all the time, which is why I make a lot of these videos, because I want everybody watching to not have to make these same mistakes that I have. I've had to redo several things in my race car that I really would rather have not done. It's cost me money, thousands of dollars if you add everything up. And if I can point everybody that's watching in the right direction when you go to turbo, supercharger, twin screw, anything like that, if I can point you in the right direction and save you some of that time and hassle, it's absolutely worth it. So thanks everybody so much for watching. Any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section below. I want to do another video like this, talking about like what to look for in the engine before you supercharge or turbocharge your car. This one was a little bit more fun because we're getting to talk about parts and getting to order parts. It's a little bit of a dopamine rush to like order parts and get them in the mail and unbox them. That stuff's really fun. Well, that's all I have for you guys. I'll have the build sheets to both of these cars linked in the description below, just like I do every week. As long as I'm doing a video on one of the two cars, I have the build sheet for them linked, and I've got every single part that's on the cars front to back, all the way from the splitter rods to the tires. Everything is listed on those build sheets. Thanks again so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Bam!